On the home front, protecting free speech. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg recently announced he'll end third-party fact-checking programs on his social media platforms. But can he be trusted to keep his word in the long term? Old censorship habits may be hard to break. So what needs to be done to safeguard and protect free speech on Meta and other social media platforms? Well, here to share her thoughts is Amy Boss. She's NetChoice Director of State and Federal Affairs. Amy, I must point out that the First Amendment applies to government restricting free speech, not corporations. So in the past, Zuckerberg denied censoring conservative speech. Now he's made an admission that it did happen. So what do you make of this Zuckerberg turnaround? Would it have happened, you think, if Trump had not won the election?
So thanks so much for having me. I think this announcement from Mark Zuckerberg last week is really exciting. One, it's Meta essentially returning to its roots. We've seen the past 4+ years government coming in heavy-handed, telling the company that they need to do a better job of taking down content. Americans grew sick and tired of that. They've demanded that the government get out of the speech business, and I think that's what you see here. You see Zuckerberg really announcing a recommitment to free speech principles. They're going to remove or eliminate the fact-checking program. They're going to allow topics, previously controversial topics, to be discussed. I think this is a welcome change, and it's really showing, it's really a trend that we're seeing in the social media space. Started with X and Elon Musk taking over there, but it's really being driven by consumers as well.
Well, here's what Mark Zuckerberg recently told Joe Rogan about the political pressure from the Biden administration to censor Meta content.
Basically, these people from the Biden administration would call up our team and scream at them and curse. And it's like these documents it's all kind of out there. And basically it just got to this point where we were like, no, we're not gonna take down things that are true.
So, Amy, what do you expect the incoming Trump administration and Congress will do to prevent government officials from pressuring social media platforms to censor political or controversial speech?
Sure. So there's definitely action Congress can and should take. And the first on that list is reintroducing and passing what's called the Protecting Speech from Government Interference Act. This would make it illegal for government employees to coerce social media companies for political purposes. This bill, it's been around during the last Congress. It passed the House along party lines. Unfortunately, Republicans supported and Democrats opposed. This really should not be a partisan issue. The government must get out of the speech business, and I think this bill is a great first start to prevent that censorship that you spoke of.
Well, is there any role for the government to have? I mean, how about legislation to prohibit censorship or require free speech on social media platforms?
Sure. It's a little tricky when you're talking about telling platforms what content they must keep up or what content they should take down. Really, what we're seeing with this announcement, this is being driven by the market and by consumers. So we need to get rid of that heavy-handed approach. Again, government is a little limited in what they can tell private companies to do, but it's refreshing to see that that once controversial topics, that we can be able to talk about them. There are, of course, companies still have their terms of service, their rules for their specific platforms. But again, when the government steps in and tells companies what to do, that's where we see those huge First Amendment problems.
Yes, I think I've heard Elon Musk say more content, not less, more speech, not less. So what about efforts to protect? How about efforts to protect children, minors from violent and sexual content, also from predators, child predators online? What's likely to be done there?
Absolutely. So this is a topic that has come up not only before Congress, but states are taking a really close look at it too. And I think you get into some of those same censorship concerns. You don't want the government to come in heavy-handed and determine for kids and for parents, really, what content is harmful or not harmful. I think we need to be really careful when we're asking the government to intervene in those areas. But there are steps that Congress can take. And we need to better empower parents with the parental tools that are available. We need to educate young people and parents, quite frankly, how to use the internet safely, navigate safely. So those are some of the efforts that we've been championing. I would also mention we need to hold bad actors accountable. We see all too often reports going into NCMEC detailing child sexual abuse content that really needs to be taken down, and there just aren't enough resources there. So there's also legislation in Congress called the Invest in Kid Safety Act that would put additional funds towards that effort.
And quickly, I've got to ask you to weigh in on the TikTok ban. Is it set to happen? I think it will happen unless the Supreme Court steps in or ByteDance sells the company by January 19th. So ByteDance warns if the U.S. government can do this to TikTok, it can do it to any company. So your thoughts briefly.
Yeah, I tuned a little bit into the oral arguments the other day. The Supreme Court generally gives Congress some deference here. So hate to make a prediction here. We saw President Trump weighing in, saying we may need more time to talk this through. So we're keeping a close eye on it. But yeah, it will be interesting to see where the court lands on this one.
Okay, Amy Boss of NetChoice, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.